She had this aura around her that drew people in. Best friend of young woman murdered in Melbourne says the world is missing something as she deals with grief of immeasurable loss. The best friend of a young comedian who was raped and murdered in a park on her way home from a performance says the world is missing something now she's gone. Eurydice Dixon, 22, was walking home on Tuesday night when she was raped and murdered at Prince's Park in Carlton North, just 500 meters away from her inner Melbourne home. The horrific and brutal murder has sent shockwaves across Melbourne and the whole of Australia. As friends and strangers of the young woman gathered in cities across the country to remember Ms. Dixon on Monday night, her childhood best friend revealed how truly tragic her death was for those who knew her intimately. Grace Brown Nafatli said Ms. Dixon's death struck her really hard and found it difficult to find the right words. She just had this aura around her that drew people in. You could tell she was a good person straight away, she told A Current Affair. She just had her own light, shined her own light. And she was one of a kind. The fact that she's gone is one thing the world's missing. Ms. Dixon's uncle has also spoken out since the shock news of his niece's brutal death. Eric Dixon said he was devastated by the loss, but said Ms. Dixon lived her short life to its fullest. More than 10,000 people gathered at Prince's Park in Melbourne to remember Ms. Dixon on Monday night. The soccer pitch where her body was found was turned into a memorial where thousands held candles silently remembered the aspiring comedian. Mourners stood in silence for 20 minutes before it was broken by a choir signing Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. Police attended but kept their distance from the somber crowd to give the space they needed to reflect. Students from Ms. Dixon's former school Prince's Hill Secondary College were among those at the vigil, as mourners hugged each other and cried as they laid flowers. Eurydice's life impacted so many people. Tonight is about mourning her, memorial organizer Terry Shafak told the crowd. Vigils were also held across the country, including Adelaide, Sydney, Perth, Hobart, Geelong and Canberra. A vigil will be held in Brisbane this Thursday night. In Sydney's Hyde Park, the event was renamed Vigil for All Victims of Gendered Violence in line with the wishes of Eurydice's family that her death not be over-politicized. Teenager Jamie Stodd, 19, has been charged over the alleged murder and rape after he turned himself into the police. He remains behind bars and expected to front court again next month.